In the professional world, the line between right and wrong, it's not always so clear, is it? It's usually this murky gray area where doing the right thing is actually incredibly complicated. So what do you do when you're stuck between a rock and a hard place and every choice feels at least a little bit wrong?
All right, let's just jump right into a scenario that puts us smack in the middle of one of these really tough calls.
So, this is a conversation between Carla and her boss, Jack. And here's the situation. Carla just found out that Jack, a guy she really respects, is using company software to do a side job. Now, he's not doing it to buy a new boat or anything. He's desperate. He's trying to pay for his son's medical bills. But, as Carla points out, it's stealing, plain and simple.
And look, this isn't just some random coworker from a different department. Jack hired Carla right out of college. For 17 years, he's been her mentor, her friend. That's what makes this so gut-wrenching. It's a direct conflict between her loyalty to a friend who is hurting and her professional duty to the company. So, what's the right move? I mean, really think about it. If she reports him, he's almost certainly fired, and his family is in even bigger trouble. But if she keeps quiet, she's basically helping him steal, and she's breaking company policy herself. There is just no easy, clean answer here. Okay, let's zoom out from Carla's personal mess for a second, because we need to understand the bigger picture. This kind of problem, this is exactly what the whole field of business ethics is all about. Business ethics isn't just some boring rule book they make you read during orientation. Think of it more like a compass. It's a whole framework of principles and values that's supposed to help people navigate these kinds of complex relationships and conflicts of interest. It's what's supposed to guide you when the path just isn't clear. And here's a really crucial point. The law tells you what's illegal, what you can't do, but it often doesn't tell you what you should do. That's where ethics comes in. It's for those moments when the values of different groups, like, say, employees versus customers, or the company versus the community, are totally at odds.
So, how in the world do you start to untangle these messy situations? Well, there's a really powerful way to think about it that could bring a ton of clarity. And it all starts with one question. Who is actually affected by this decision? The term for this is a stakeholder. It's basically anyone. An employee, a customer, an investor, even the local community who has a vested interest, a stake in what the company does. They're all in the game, whether they know it or not.
And we can even break it down further. You've got your primary stakeholders. These are the people the company literally cannot survive without. Think employees, customers, investors. Then you've secondary stakeholders. They aren't part of the day-to-day business, but man, they can have a huge influence. Think about the media or special interest groups. You got to consider both. Okay, so let's take this idea and apply it back to Carla's dilemma. All of a sudden, it's not just about her and Jack anymore, right? You see this whole web of people who are impacted. The company, A&A, is a stakeholder. Its clients, who trust the company, are stakeholders. And of course, Jack's family has a massive stake in what happens. Just doing this one simple exercise completely changes the perspective. It's so much bigger than just a personal conflict. Now that we have this stakeholder tool in our back pocket, let's put it to the test. We're going to run through a couple of other quick-fire scenarios, the kind of stuff you might actually run into out there. All right, meet Frank. He's a salesperson, and he is this close to landing a massive deal. But then, the client drops a not-so-subtle hint about how much he'd love some season tickets to the big games. The implication? Yeah, it's pretty clear. So when Frank brings this up with his colleague, Amber, her response just shows you how high the pressure is. She's basically saying, we're doing this. She is ready to do whatever it takes to close the deal, completely blurring that line between a nice gift and a straight-up bribe. So what do you think? Is this just good business, a generous gesture, or is it a bribe? Let's use our framework. The primary stakeholders are obvious. Frank, Amber, their company, they all want the deal. The client wants the tickets. But who else is involved? What about the client's own company? They probably have rules against this. What about other companies competing for the deal who are playing by the book? See, a choice that seems good for a few people right now could seriously damage the company's reputation down the line. Okay, how about this one? This is Kent. He's a video game developer. His bosses are pushing him to build features into their new game that are designed, on purpose, to be psychologically addictive, using the same kind of mechanics you see in gambling to keep people playing and paying. And if that wasn't enough, he's also being told to add nudity to the game, just to boost sales in certain markets. As Kent points out to his boss, this stuff has real-world consequences. People are going to be upset. So, is this just smart business to make more money? Or is it basically creating a product that's poison? Let's map the stakeholders. You've got the company and its investors who want big profits. You got Kent and the developers who are struggling with their own conscience. And then, and this is the big one, you have the players themselves and their families. Some of those players might be vulnerable, and they're the ones who pay the real price for addiction. The company's bottom line is in direct conflict with the well-being of its customers.
Okay, let's bring all this together. We've looked at these messy, complicated, no-win situations where the right path forward is anything but clear.
So how do we actually walk through this? Here's a simple 4-step process. First, just name the issue. What's the core ethical problem? Second, list every single stakeholder you can think of. Third, think through the consequences, good and bad, for every single one of them. And finally, number 4, evaluate your responsibilities to each of those groups. Now, this last one is the hardest part. There's no magic formula that tells you how to weigh your duty to a friend against your duty to your company.
And that right there is the key takeaway. Business ethics is not about finding some perfect solution that makes everybody happy. That almost never exists. The goal is to get past your gut reaction, to really understand the ripple effects of your choice, and to make a conscious, well-reasoned decision that you can actually stand behind, even when it's really, really hard.
Which brings us right back to the central question. When loyalty is fighting with the rules, when profit is fighting with people's well-being, you're the one who has to make the call. So with these tools in hand, where will you draw the line?